Isn't it weird that this champion right here, Fiddlesticks, has not been on my best junglers tier lists, I don't think at all in Season 14. After 2 to 3 years of always being an S tier jungler that no one wanted to play, right, remove the mythics, we lose the power that is Rocket Belt, and Fiddlesticks is sitting there going, well, this sucks. Now what's funny about this, as you would have noticed from the thumbnail, is they're eventually just going back to doing Rocket Belt. Obviously things have changed to the passives on items, to the raw stats on items, to build components. All of these little things do make a difference, but it's also that most Fiddlesticks players struggled to adapt to the more open map, to the grubs, to the different pressure points in games, at spikes at level 5, 6, 7. Now we're going to see how we can carry with Fiddle using the Electrocute rune in Season 14. Obviously, I know Fiddlesticks players, a lot of you miss the Predator days, right? Yeah. Fiddlesticks, Predator, great meta that was many years ago now. First Strike, Electrocute, Dark Harvest. Dark Harvest just never go it. Honestly, for me, I understand the preference for Electrocute or First Strike, but other than that, I don't really think there's much else you need to worry about. In this particular case, obviously, we don't have any of the Hex Flash kind of tech without the First Strike rune. Transcendence as well as Water Walking is always a nice combination. I personally do prefer the Hex Tech playstyle with the First Strike. It's just something that Hex Flash, it just allows Fiddlesticks to have a bit more momentum on the minimap, on the big map and the minimap, of course. And this ward here, this effigy, always provides, good value for Fiddlesticks players over others with warding totems. However, against a Karthus, it's not really to be an issue, likely to be an issue, not expecting any sort of invades. And Karthus will full clear up in this particular case, and now you could expect him to gank on the top lane here, but it looks like he's just gone back to base. Yone now will basically say, alright, if we know he started here, we know he's going to be top side, let me provide some interference for my Karthus, who's going to go down to the bottom scuttle. Fiddlesticks obviously is the one champion here. Exactly. You absolutely must head over to Virkayu.gg. I have a free jungle improvement resource as well as a dedicated program where we have jungle video courses, jungle coaching VOD libraries, weekly free video content seen nowhere else, as well as Q&As and patch note rundowns, as well as a private jungle Discord. And if there's one thing I'm good at, it's making junglers reach their goals, as we saw with the record number of people hitting them at the end of Season 13. If you want to climb faster than anyone you know, jungle diff every game you play, click the link below or head to Virkayu.gg. We all hate Yone. Everyone in this game hates Yone, and watching a Fiddlesticks do the silence fear sucky is just absolutely beautiful. Now, because we've done this and we know Karthus is now on the bottom side from our perspective, the issue is, given we started Raptors, if you now go deep and ward, if you now go top lane for gankings, if it's possible, if you go back to base, you're going to have this up here in about 5 to 10 seconds, and it's going to cost you a lot of tempo when the Karthus just says, hey, and goes ahead and takes your Raptors. So in this particular case, I like shadowing down, want to protect myself from being counter jungle. You see the Karthus here, this is what he's thinking. All right, Fiddlesticks should have gone back to base. Let me go and gank it. Fiddlesticks shadows across. Obviously, they all see this, it's all in view. And Zed now is putting himself in a bit of a compromised position, but he's fortunate enough to live. Mimo then rotates over, hits a plant, and says, hello, Karthus. And this is the thing about the Karthus resetting here. Immediately, it gives you how much time. The guy is down here doing this, he can flirt and gank and do whatever he wants, and now only at 418 or so has that Grump spawned. A lot of dead time for him to fill with good jungle action. Now that good jungle action can obviously be ganking top lane, taking the top scuttle, invading the enemy jungler if they're slow full clearers, and Fiddlesticks knows this. So while I'm not a huge fan of Fiddlesticks waiting for Krugs, or any champion waiting for Krugs or something to spawn, in this singular case, whereby you are protecting yourself against counter jungling, this has not yet respawned, there's no grubs on the map right now, you've gotten a kill, I'm okay taking this to protect, which we did, floating down and taking this right afterwards, which we did. Now we know the Karthus in theory should be going to the top side, there he is, or cutting down for this. Now it's unlikely a full clearing Karthus style jungler ever does that, so from Fiddlesticks' perspective, alright, I've now gone back to base. By the time I get to this top side, the Karthus is going to be thinking about doing Raptors and his Krugs and the Grubs and ganking top lane, as we can see here, which means I need to be in this vicinity. The benefit for us is we went back to base later, so our itemization is better. And you can see that the Karthus does this over the wall. Huge. Let's watch the whole thing, because this is something that Shapeshift talks about on Twitter a lot and actually publicized for a lot of people. Over the wall here, if you get right close to it, there you go, there's a Q. You can keep him in vision, keep him attacking you. That's a crucial thing here, so he doesn't run around the wall. And then you can smite it and snack away one from Could have smited sooner if you're gonna smite, but sure. You know, we can go ahead and do that and snack the first one with a major experience, and Fiddlesticks is stuck here doing this himself. An exquisite use of Karthus' dead time in this game. Base, try and gank, try and invade. Cool, nothing, whatever. Fine, I go sequence again. There's a gap between my Raptors and my Krugs because I did red in between them. They're going to respawn in a slightly distorted manner. I know Fiddlesticks has gone down here. I know he's probably going to reset and come to the top side. And because he's behind on farm for the quadrant, he will probably go straight to the grubs. I don't have prior for this from top side, so let me just snack one out from the back of the base, from the back of the pit, and then I'll go ahead and do the Krugs, and obviously now I can decide, or I can just leave. And the Fiddlesticks, you see the pings on the minimap there? She's saying, why didn't you come a gank? The Kale's like, why didn't you come a gank? What is a card that's gonna do with flash and no exhaust against a level 6 Tryndamere with Fiddlesticks shadowing the scenario and a Zed who can easily roam? She's 5. Like, what do you expect the jungler to do here, guys? You have to understand that you lost your own lane. And if you're counterpicked, I'm sorry that you had to lose your own lane. But I don't really think the Karthus is liable for this shit environment for you. This sucks. Like, this is a great gank from the Zed. This is a wonderful gank from the Zed. And it's also very important that junglers understand that when your laner is a Zed or a Katarina, and they go side lanes like that, you become the mid laner. Did you see this? He goes and holds this. And that's the thing. You're noticing we're talking a lot about Karthus. We're talking a lot about the lanes, because when you're farming with Fiddlesticks, that's what you should be looking at the whole time. You're farming for 6, you're optimizing, but you're still paying attention to everything else. We hold mid lane because Zed goes top lane. Cool. Now I can rotate down to the bottom lane here. I have level 6. This is the juicy. Now, the Yone's decided to go down here as well. Oh, baby. Here we go. Surprise party Fiddlesticks about to show up with a mega surprise. I have brought the ice. I have brought the drinks. Goodbye, Karthus. Good night. And now we're sitting here. Obviously, we're going to flash out. I think that's a wise decision considering we don't want to be knocked up there. A nice fear onto the Yone. Traps there to protect us. Obviously, be very, very cautious here. Oof, that is a mega silence into a suck from the Fiddlesticks. Absolutely huge. And they're focusing on the Jinx, which is great. This is exactly what you want as a Fiddle. Zed rotates over again. Mid lane being very active this game, both sides. And Zed's done a fantastic job, and Fiddle's done a fantastic job reading the map as well. This is how you do it. This is it. 3-0-1, 53 CS, 5 CS up on the Karthus, who now obviously will go to his bottom side quadrant and most likely full sequence up again, because once everything is settled, the Fiddlesticks can easily loop back around for this, or he can go for this, or he can honestly just cut up and say, I'm not even going to do the dragon. I'll make you think I'm going to do the dragon, and that's more than enough for me. That's also a bait play you can make. So really important lesson from the Fiddlesticks' perspective. If you do happen to make good plays, and the enemy jungler has that tempo advantage over you to a certain degree with full clearing, especially when you're a clearing jungler, the cut up to the grubs was great. The Karthus did an amazing job understanding this as well. And then we could have gone top lane to do something, but I like that we didn't because we want to wait for that 6, right? We want to have 6 before we really show that powerfully. And in the meantime, we can fall back to our camps. So if our mid laner goes ahead for those side lane ganks, then we become the mid laner to hold the waves. Now, we know Karthus is sequencing up. Tryndamere now is super fed and can kind of proxy this a little bit. Karthus is now like, oh my god. And we've all been in this situation. But from the Fiddlesticks' perspective, what changes the nature of this game is that he played around the Zed, he killed the Yone early, and he impacted bottom lane. The Zed made the play on the top side to win top lane hardcore, and what we did was ensure that we counter-ganked the bottom lane play and got as much juice as possible, totally ruining the lives of everyone on the red team who tried to make a play down there. Now, Karthus uses his first R. Obviously, the Dark Harvest stacks are not running in too deeply at this particular stage. And I'm getting the pings from the Kale. What do you want him to do in this particular situation? Here? Yes. Here I'd argue, okay, maybe there is something we can do. But the question is, right, Zed, we know is low. Over here, we see this ult go through. This is the whole point of the ult. Now, we're going to go back to base. This is now a good play, right? However, as soon as you see him show here, if you think, all right, Zed had to go back to base, Fiddlesticks is not in the picture, his ult is available, maybe we can do something. I would argue that for most junglers, there's probably something we can do here as long as we have CC. Obviously, I would expect it to be completely warded up, and it is a Tryndamere who's got his flash up, it is a Tryndamere who has no ult, but he's still a spin to win. Is it even worth the time invest? You have to really think deeply about it. The Fiddlesticks in the meantime is also an unknown quantity. He does show mid lane now, and it's too late because we're already in base. What if the Fiddlesticks was anticipating us rotating up to kill the Trinity and just sitting there with his ult ready to go? So now that I've listed all that out from Karthus' perspective, maybe you can understand why he just wouldn't want to go for that. However, I do think like a Volibear, things like this, you can handle that environment. Now the Fiddlesticks, obviously, again, does the quadrant, holds mid lane again, really important principles, waits and base a little bit to get some cash money spent here. We're at 2,500. We are losing a lot of time here as the Karthus ganks on the bottom side, which is fine. There we go, there's a rocket belt. It's not okay to wait always this long, but in this situation, that's where futures market is huge, right? You have futures market, you get that quicker, you're back in the field. It compounds nicely. But the Karthus does what he's expected to do of himself in this situation, which is show bottom lane. Get a little bit of a presence there. Whether you get a kill or not, doesn't matter. The intent is good. Camps are not up, so we didn't need to worry about it. And now he's going to go for that dragon, right? So Fiddle knows, all right, he's doing dragon. Zed knows he's doing dragon. And Zed uses his pride to go onto the Karthus. Now you can blame the Yone. 100%. You can say, Yone, your mid laner's here. And while to a certain degree that's true, at the same time, if you're stuck as Karthus and the only thing you can do is go ahead and do a coin flippy dragon, there is the rocket belt, there is the rocket belt. You see that coming right out. And look at what he's doing to a Yone. Yes, to kill him. I love it. You see, that's where the power comes in. Whoopsie. Damage there's 203 from a singular use. It's not terrible, right? The reworks on those passives for itemization, that's pretty nice. So 70 plus 300 health plus 15 haste plus that active plus the electrocute damage. We're still sitting pretty. And now because we can afford to rush really interesting items next up, you're still building needlessly large rods, which is kind of really, what Fiddle wants to build here. You're not necessarily a high AP needlessly large rod champion historically, but the fact that that's part of our core itemization now gives you a lot of snowball potential with your build components. Now we did use our ult here on the Yone, and we made sure to kill him. And again, you can say, well, Karthus was compromised by the Zed, but the Zed was pushed out. The Fiddlesticks has held himself against the Yone twice now, and held the mid lane a lot when Zed was roaming. The backbone of this entire game is the Fiddle. The Zed is able to play the way he is because of the Fiddle. The bottom lane is able to play the way they are because of the Fiddle. In the meantime, Karthus went back to farming because he didn't want to have anything to do with that corn flippy grubs, and I kind of do like what the Fiddle's doing here, which is like, on the coaching channel, with all of the sub-master tier players, they always hit the Jinx ult. On this channel, which is only high elo, they always miss. Except this time. Juicy. Now we get grubs, we don't have mites, which is great from the Karthus. We have 4. Ult is available again. Here we go. Here we go. Yone is now a little bit afraid, I think. Is he really trying this again? Is he really trying this again? Great use of the fear there as well. That was really, really... That's just great Fiddlesticks play. Because even though it looks obvious to you and me who are watching this, it has to be obvious to you in-game. But in-game, if you're good at your champion, this is obvious as well. You know that Yone can't help himself, right? You know that Yone has his flash up. He doesn't have his ult because he uses it, so he's going to use his E here. And as soon as he uses his E, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to R as soon as I see him going back. Then I'm going to use my rocket belt. Angle's a little bit whiffy, but we don't know. He flashes. And now I've still got all of my abilities up, right? So what I can do then is just immediately flash, hit that fear. Obviously, we could use a silence, but why? Because he's feared. We can just go sucky sucky. Then we wait a little bit on that silence, and then we sucky sucky to finish. Don't always stack things immediately, right? All chain CC spells buy a little bit of a time overlap, but in this particular case, once you hit that flash fear, you know that guy is dead. Hit your silence, hit your W, and the guy will die. His soul got sucked thusly. It's like some Victorian erotic novel. Now Karthus is again on the bottom side, and the thing is, you're saying, but the Zed, but the Zed, but the Zed. My friends, if your mid laner has prio in every game you play, you're probably the reason. If your mid laner literally never has prio, even in matchups you expect, and the enemy jungler interacts, you're probably the reason, right? There's a commonality here between jungle impact and mid lane roam priority. Now, the Fiddlesticks has done a really good job against this Yone. He's done a really good job shadowing and holding lanes against this Karthus to a large degree. And honestly, the cost was 1 dragon. I'm okay with that. Remember, we want that 6,000 gold in 14 minutes. We have 6.5 at 13. Karthus is 4.2. And the Karthus here, again, one could argue maybe we should have ganked top lane first rotation. I think it was worth the invest. Because you see the Trinity, what he's doing to the Kale. You see how that matchup is going currently. You know the Fiddlesticks is slower than you at full clearing, 100%. Maybe we can use that to gap in time to just burn a ghost, burn a spin, something from the Trinity that gives Kale a bit of breathe room. Now you can go back to base. You're still going to get the double Scuttle Crab. No, you're not going to invade the Raptors, but you can still do your next sequence properly, and you can still do the same for Grubs. And I think your top lane is in a healthier state. So if you're the Karthus, for sure go ahead and do that. But from what the Fiddlesticks did, perfect. Didn't interact with top lane either. He's like, my top lane's got this. If Karthus wants to invest, I'll do it somewhere else. No stress. It's exactly how you play the game. Now, you want to make sure you're mega sequencing. We got a lot of gold here. I would not necessarily stay out this long. I probably would have reset at some point prior to this, especially after all the bottom lane plays here. However, when we see the Herald is coming up, it makes sense for us to stay out. Finish this quadrant. Excuse me. Hello, Yone. Yo nuts. Guy got killed again. See, Fiddlesticks is the great Yone counter, so maybe that's why his win rate's going up. Agent Smith. That's not the Agent Smith we know. Finish this quadrant, go back to base. Now you can go topside, full buy, full Herald. But once he finishes this, he sees the shenanigans and is like, you know what, I can maybe do something about that. And here's the thing about Fiddlestick style champions as well. They're potent, powerful, and when they have a Dark Seal, which we don't have, which maybe we should have, these situations you can stay out on. Not a lot of champions can afford to stay out this long and it still be impactful. But Fiddlesticks is one of those champions. Obviously here we don't have Smite, so we want to be a little cautious. Hit the eyeball. Hit the eyeball. No, Mumu, hit the eyeball. Jesus. It's like, I'm giving you the eye, man. Poke it. Poke it. And Mumu players. Now we're split pushing topside here, obviously. 250 Kale. With all due respect to Kale players, you are some of the absolute whiniest babies when it comes to not feeding your ass off for the first 15 to 20 minutes. Kale's a lot stronger than you think early, and 11's already an absolute massive spike for her. People just don't know how to scale eloquently, right? Like, you're just absolutely throwing this game away for zero reason. Here's the Fiddlesticks now shadowing this scenario. 3 people goon squatting top lane, never seen that before. Jinx can push this with the 4 grubs we have. Activate the Herald. Alright, I guess. I don't know if I would... Yeah, no, I guess it would. But I would hippity-hoppity a ride. If I'm Jinx, yeah, there you go. As Fiddle, I think it's okay to do the dragon here. I'm just a little worried by my ADC going macro by herself while I do the dragon, but it's a fair play. Do you think we could have maybe just stuck it out together a little bit, really shoved this in, and still fallen back to this without a fight? But nothing wrong with what we're doing here. This is still good. Especially if your ADC is playing smart and we have an ultra trap. Because now she can bait, right? Although I don't know how you fall for this. Obviously, there's a ward there. She's not really falling for it. There's the TP. You watch the TP. Yeah, it's pinged on. Blue team are ready. Nice trap. Very good bait. Hello. Oh my goodness gracious. Fantastic Fiddlesticks play. Beautiful. This is how you do it in Season 14, ladies and gentlemen. Clean, efficient, map control, eyes up. You see how the whole time I'm talking about Karthus, the whole time we're talking about lanes and roams and timers and holding. Ooh, the Zhonya's, because obviously we got the Zhonya's in one buy here, so massive example of, even though a champion might be struggling, if the kid has been strong for 3 years, there's got to be a way to make it effective. And his win rate is climbing again as people figure this out. Don't discount the fact that not everything is itemization. It's matchups to things that are strong, that get nerfed. It's also how you flow within the state of the game in terms of objectives, turrets, bounties, and the economy ecosystem, if you will. And once you solve that little nugget and you know what itemization to go, you're sitting pretty. Now, obviously here we can go a multitude of ways. If you are feeling hungry, you can go with a death cap, although that's never really what you want to go. You got the Voids, you've got the Banshee's Veils, Crypt Blooms, if you are so inclined. There's a lot of ways you can go. The Transcendence, I think, is absolutely massive. Does it give the stats in-game for me here? 10 seconds, seconds refunded, 10. 10 seconds refunded. Let's see that at the end of the game. I have started going Transcendence as well, actually months ago already, on Zyra Jungle, just because the loss of haste on the Liandry's builds really hurts, especially against metas where you could just be run over by everybody. So having those cooldowns get refunded at the stage and getting that bonus haste offsets that loss of Liandry's haste greatly. And of course, Fiddlesticks was going a hell of a lot of Liandry's back in the day. We don't really care at this point. This is definitely an aggressive move. I think this is more the, I'm coming for you and having fun. You're allowed one of those moments per game. Don't do it again, because now you will start to throw things, especially when you know it's warded now and they can see you. We obviously have the Zed pushing bot lane. The Trinimir's not in the picture yet. Huge ult from the Fiddlesticks. Jinx is going in with the Amumu, who's going to die. And this is where the Karthus and the Chaos start to get fed because we overcommit. Everybody gets really upset about it. And at least Fiddle didn't die. So, that's not so good. But of course, we have, what, 2,000 in pocket here? Yone, see, this is the problem. We all die here, give some shutdowns. The Zed goes in way too deep, and the Yone says, look, I'm level 12, and says, I'm going to kill you. There you go. Click of the mouse there, my bad. Now, we missed the E. See, now we're stretching. Now we're stretching. We're trying to reach for the Nexus. We're trying to reach for the inhibitors. Guys, if you have a lead, keep the lead and grow it with as minimal risk as possible. However, you do have to at some point take a little bit of risk in terms of forcing a fight. You know, if you want to be extremely boring, you don't really need to. But largely that relies on everyone on your team agreeing to do that, and the enemy team also agreeing not to take any risks to come back in the game. And honestly, stamp collecting is for not us. So here, make a nice pick, guy. If we're committed, cool. Push this one up. Just play it smart. And largely, if you do that and they make mistakes and they step out, which they will out of impatience, the game for you is really quick and easy. Here at this stage, this wave is pushed all the way in now. Trinity is going on the top side here. You could look to join him a little bit, but they're obviously going to all flow to him. We'll wait for the next wave. If you got plants or Heimerdinger turrets or something to hit this, cool. In theory, he should cut down to us, which of course he does. Janna's going to be up in 4 seconds, so we want to take this turret before everyone's up. Trinimir goes in with a higher risk maneuver, but Fiddlesticks does not have his ultimate, so this is not such a good play. And now Trinimir is going to say, good night, sweet prince, because of the Leandri's interaction on Karthus' ultimate. So that right there is one of the examples of, that was higher risk by the Trinimir. You don't need to do that. You don't need to be boring, but you also don't need to do that. Like, that's how you throw games, right? So, that's not what we're talking about here. Right. Fiddle says, look, don't know what you're doing, didn't want to do it, so I'm going to go back to farm. Here I do wonder a little bit about maybe doing this, but Karthus is on the bottom side, and Zed's on the bottom side, so in theory, they could look to pull it. The problem for them is it's a Fiddlesticks who's fed, and honestly, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, should have gone back to base. Like, can we just pretend that this didn't happen? Can we all agree that this didn't happen, and he's still playing perfectly? Alright, good, glad. So the Fiddlesticks absolutely lost his ultimate through a bug in Riot Games' client. I don't know how it happened. His ult, 48 seconds. Don't know. Didn't see it. Trinimir died, and we're like, wow, we lost our ultimate. Unlucky. Go back to base here. Go, yeah, Shadow Flame is also a thing. I keep forgetting Shadow Flame is also a thing. Build that needlessly large rod into some amp tomes. Maximize your build path. Because at this point, like, this can build into multiple items. So if you're flushed with cash but don't have enough for 2 needless, you can do that. We'll do the dragon. Now we're worried about them. You see this? Like, I would be worried about it too. But if you watch carefully, you see where people go. But if you have no idea where they are, they could very easily be sneaking away a Baron while you go down here. And that's not what you want. Now, Trinimir has joined us in the mid lane. Fiddlesticks is looking for the flank on the Kale. Make sure you cut in because Kale obviously will not overcommit again. Level 12 now. Here we go. Yone's going in on the Zed. Half chunked. Fiddlesticks is trailing the play. Jinx says we have the mites, and this is okay for Fiddle. This is okay for Fiddle. Shadowing just out of fog on the bottom left. You see that? This is cool. Now he shows obviously, but this is fine. You just want to say, hey guys, if you go in, I'm here. I'm peeling. I got silence. I got fears. I got my ultimate. And for a Yone-based comp, it's a little bit irritating, but the rest of their comp wants you to go in. So it's kind of a bit of a standoff at this stage. And as Zed's gone back to base, Trinimir finally realizes, hey guys, maybe I should be splitting. Yeah, really. Really. Maybe we should have the wave here and the top wave here so that we can both force him to make a decision. Just a thought. We should be doing that. We're not, but we should be. However, if we nail it, we will win the game on this push. We don't even need Baron. So don't feel like you need Baron. Don't coin flip it for no reason. Just let Trinimir go to work. Wait for the Zed to join up here or here, but he can't kill the Yone anymore. The Yone is not coming down. And this turret is gone, so we can easily 1-4-0 this sucker. And let's see how we do it. Because they have to deal with Trinimir somehow. So once they send to Trinimir, this is where Fiddlesticks has this moment. Let's see. Fiddlesticks waiting. They know he's there. And that's also huge. Just fear. Literally, just fear. If we go in, Fiddlesticks is massive. But eventually, they're going to have to try something. Jinx, please be careful and stick near the help that you have. Their whole team is there. Yep. There it is. No vision, you can see it being primed. Yoda's out of position. Nice ult there by them. And Mumu and Fiddlesticks can now just go mega backline, stick around with the Jinx, hit some silences. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Easy game. 12-0-6. Huge. Minus the 2 ults that were not that great. But nice patience. No coin flips on the Baron. Didn't die when his teammates were running it. Zed died a few times on the side lanes. Didn't really do anything afterwards. This is amazing. This is great. This is the kind of stuff you want to do as a Fiddle. This is the kind of control you can have, right? So as long as you focus on the jungling aspect, you're going to be in a good position. And again, for runes, this is kind of what he likes to run here. 18 seconds refunded at the end, 800 damage on the electrocute. Still not quite what I personally would run, but these runes are always good. Same with the first strike runes. Fiddlesticks is nice in that there's a lot of preference. There's a lot of preferences you can kind of slice in and out of your total build, but the good thing is that you can see that playing it right, none of that matters, and the champion is still good.